Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
Don Le Batard.
That was Will Smith's magic wand for a long time. Just get a bunch of things on the screen that people will notice, and I could just be among them. Hell, that's my trick, too. I surround myself with funny-looking and funny-acting people so that people won't notice that I'm kind of dry by comparison. Like all of you weirdos. Like, that's what I do. I'm surrounded by orcs. I'm sitting here blaming Will Smith, and all I'm doing is seeing him right in the mirror.
Stugotz.
I'm jealous now of Will Smith because he did it so much better. I'm just sitting here with you and my dad.
I'm your orc.
My dad and a troll.
That's pretty good.
That was good. I mean, I finger pointed him. I've arrived at a point where I'm celebrating jokes against me.
Yes, I just called you a troll, and Stugotz saluted me by pointing one of his sausage fingers at me.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. A university panel has recommended the expulsion of Minnesota basketball player Reggie Lynch after he was found responsible for a third sexual misconduct. LiAngelo Ball scored 19 points, and LaMelo finished with 10 in their professional debuts in Lithuania. It's not a bad debut. 19, 10, teenagers.
I mean, what's the competition?
I don't know what the competition is, but LiAngelo Ball played a professional basketball game yesterday at 19 points.
Okay.
He got paid for it. Mm-hmm. It's a good debut. And finally, a new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association concludes that 2 workouts a week, that's it, 2 workouts a week is all people need to lower their risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer compared to those who don't work out at all. Those 2 workouts make active people 41% less likely to die of heart disease and 18% less likely to die of cancer. If you're wondering, according to the study, more than 2 workouts a week doesn't provide greater benefits in this respect. Those who work out just twice a week live about as long as gym rats. I skipped sedentary, yes, Mike. Mike said that in my ear, and I skipped it, not because I was afraid of it. I asked Dan how to pronounce it on the front end, and then I crossed it out, and I couldn't make out what I rewrote.
Yeah, that is what happened. You should have heard how he pronounced it. He called it, he said it was like something closer to serendipity than it was to, I asked him, did you mean sedentary?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Anyway, for all the latest headlines and information, work out, people.
Just twice a day, though, or just twice a week.
Twice a week. That's it. Twice. And imagine if you did it 5 times a week.
No, that's the opposite of that. You didn't just retain anything.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
It is amazing. Stugotz is amazing.
I mean, you would think 4 days a week would give you an 82% less chance of getting heart disease.
Did you not retain anything you just read? You just read to us that working out twice a week is the same as working out every day. You just read that to us.
I was so focused, and you have to understand how this mind works. I know you know most of it, but I was so focused on cardiovascular and that one word that I...
What's the one word? What is the one word? Say it.
Sedentary?
There you go.
I was so focused on those words. I'm not listening or retaining anything.
I'm pretty sure you said when you asked me it was serendipity.
I did. Yes, it was.
It was something like that. You jumbled. It was just
centenary, I think.
It was
centenary.
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
It was. Mike, just put together a group of Stugotz's mispronunciations so that people can experience a full-fledged, whichever one you want, so they can experience what a mispronouncifier Stugotz, the professional fraudcaster, is.
Warm.
Many of my friends. Soliciting.
Soliciting.
Totality.
Superstitious.
Coach.
I
think that.
That's
Peanut.
Steak sauce.
Histrionics.
Gut
over.
Get out.
Refund. Sample size. Martial arts.
Martian app.
Iron.
Iron.
Job.
Did I say Martian out?
I don't know, man. I mean, we have pulled the biggest scam in the history of sports. There should be a 30 for 30 on just Stugotz. Just the idea that
I'm down with that.
That failure can be rewarded as it soars into the heavens.
Don't feel bad, though, Stugotz. It happens to everybody, especially with that Alabama quarterback that came in, Stephen A. Smith. Height of the profession. He had his trouble with it.
When you look at this kid, was it Tagovailoa?
Oh, no.
I mean, Tago from Hawaii.
That is the whole network yesterday. Stephen A. Smith isn't doing anything other than speaking on behalf of all of us.
I got to hear that one more time. Was there taco in there?
No, he didn't know what he was. All of us were learning that kid's name as it happened.
When you look at this kid, was it Tagovailoa? I mean, Tago.
Hold on.
From Hawaii.
Mike,
I'm Charlie.
Mike, hold on. Mike, I want you to splice that up. And what I'd like to dissect about that is what was closer to the kid's actual name. Was it Stephen A. Smith, the way he tried to pronounce it, or was it just the stammering afterward as he realized through the stammering? Which is the closer to the pronunciation? Is the Alabama quarterback, who we all discovered together on Monday night, is this closer to his name
Tagovailoa
than this?
I mean,
which one sounds more like his name? Because this was the entire network on Monday trying to pronounce this kid's name.
Tagovailoa?
That was not his name.
Right.
This is clearly a star was born Monday night. Nick Saban is the greatest we've ever seen. Yes, maybe, no. And it was on the wings of this kid.
Yeah, the second one.
Mike, what is his name?
Tua Tagovailoa.
You sure?
I think.
When was the last time this happened? Was it Antetokounmpo? When was the last time this happened where our entire sports media was forced overnight to learn someone's name that we couldn't pronounce?
Oh, Who-Man. Remember Who-Man made a couple of big catches for the Patriots. Humau-Maunui?
Yeah, either that or Jonas Gray.
Well, is it going to be all Samoan guys? Other than Jonas Gray?
Well, Antetokounmpo is probably the most famous.
Josh Smith.
But it doesn't necessarily need to be Samoan guys. Does it have to be foreign guys? Can it just be a name that you didn't know at all from one night to the next? Like, that doesn't happen in sports very often. You may discover Grayson Allen during a college game, but it doesn't happen very often where you learn that someone is a star in one night. Like, that's one of the things that will keep Nick Saban in that job for as long as he'd want to, and it'll never go dry, is the idea that Nick Saban can do that for you. In a night with your freshman kid, he could deliver you that.
Right.
That's a pretty good recruiting tool.
He's got all these advantages, every single advantage you would want. And then when he's done with all those advantages, what he pulls out of his hip pocket is a quarterback that's better than any we've seen at Alabama.
That's right. The best quarterback we've ever seen at Alabama, an Alabama franchise that keeps winning without quarterback.
Let's stash this away.
Right. That's
glass in case of an emergency.
But that's what's coming next. Like, this is a funny thing. This is a funny thing that has happened. Listen to this. Drew Rosenhaus is very successful, right? Drew Rosenhaus has had a monster career in a very difficult field as a sports agent. It's unbelievably cutthroat. It's dirty. It's ugly. Drew Rosenhaus has taken himself to the top of that profession, which is in its own way kind of what coaches do, where they ride the success of the bodies of others to great CEO positions and take a percentage or cut of what it is that they have earned on those bodies. It's also what pimps do. And so Drew Rosenhaus had all of these clients, and Drew Rosenhaus was really frustrated. The hole on his resume, on his ego, despite all that success, is, man, none of the quarterbacks want to come with me. None of them. None of the quarterbacks. Like, everyone likes that I'm kind of a concierge, and I'll take less of a percentage than everyone else on your money, and I'll help you and I'll serve you, but the quarterbacks don't like that. The quarterbacks want to be treated differently. The quarterbacks want representation that's not in the shadows and slick. Nick Saban has done all the winning he's done without the quarterbacks wanting to be there. It's And now the quarterbacks are going to want to be there because look at what that kid got in a night. In a night. That freshman got the sport overnight, and Nick Saban delivered him that. And now Nick Saban, if he wants to stay there, he's going to get the quarterbacks too.
Yes. You might want to wait 3 years if you're a quarterback. But they got Jalen Hurts. This quarterback got Jalen Hurts. There were stories now that Jalen Hurts may transfer. He was the SEC Player of the Year last year.
Well, Jalen, but now we're upgrading. That's the last position where the CEO, you've said he's had all the advantages. He gets all the players that he wants. He's the best coach. He gets to pay all the coaches whatever he wants. He's got this giant staff where strength coaches and everyone, and he's got these facilities that are better than everyone. He can get your kids to the pros better than anyone. You're going to be playing in big games all the time better than anyone. And on top of that, now he's going to get the quarterbacks. Like the chance to get him was before. The only thing that derails Alabama now is his ego is such that Alabama feels small time to him, and he wants one of these $200 million jobs coaching the Giants now that Gruden has set the market there.
Well, Bruce Arians said that yesterday. He knows Nick very well. He said that's his dream job.
I'm saying that's the only reason to leave, because he's built it to the highest point. Like he could keep winning for the next 20 years there if he's going to now get the quarterbacks too. He's going to always be in the game. Hell, man, this was the year to get them. They didn't even make the SEC championship game in their quarterbacks week. Like this was the year, and you couldn't do it this year either. So like the only thing that gets Nick Saban to the pros is I'm totally bored. I've done everything here. It's small time. And when I was in the pros, I failed. When I was in the pros, I didn't have a quarterback, and I failed. But here's the problem with the pros, the salary cap. He's not going to be able to have all these advantages that he had in college.
No.
He's not going to have any of the advantages. What advantages is he going to have? What advantages is he going to have?
None. You'd think he'd learn his lesson with, doing it for a couple of years with the Dolphins. He doesn't have those advantages. It's a different animal, the NFL, as opposed to college
You're
football.
not going to, look, man, I know it seems like it's easier to be a better CEO than Mike McCarthy, but you're not going to out-CEO Belichick.
He does have one thing to accomplish in college football, and it's within that program. He can pass Bear Bryant.
I mean, he already has.
Well, I mean, he can actually pass him.
No, but the only thing that would make him, but the only thing that would make him not get that, he's going to get there, dude. He just won the championship. Look at the things that happened here. It's not just that he didn't play in the SEC championship game. It's not that they only got the opportunity to get in the playoff because Wisconsin lost. Otherwise, Alabama wouldn't have even been in the playoff. They get there. They lose to running quarterbacks. It's the only thing that beats them. They get past Clemson. Easy. They make it look easy because he's got all the best defensive players. They get to the championship game. They got a guy having a seizure or whatever on the sidelines. They've got fighting. Another teammate is fighting everybody on the sidelines. They score 0 points at the half. They have to change quarterbacks. They miss a game-winning kick. They allow a 51-yard field goal, and then they get backed up into 2nd and 26. The whole thing is ready to collapse. It's ready to collapse at your feet. Safety makes a mistake.
Yeah.
Alabama wins the championship.
Don't you guys think, like, when you think back to Alabama, Mike, don't you think people are not thinking Bear Bryant anymore? They're thinking Nick Saban. That's right?
I mean, now.
Because I was thinking, why would he want to go to the NFL? And that's a good reason. Maybe he wants to pass Bear Bryant.
Outside of a scandal or him going to the pros, Alabama is now going to be doing this for as long as Nick Saban pleases. If he wants to stay there, they can be here every year for 20 years. He's got too many of the advantages.
Yeah. Bear Bryant always has the hat, right? Yeah, he needs something. And I've noticed, anytime you see Nick Saban recently, he's wearing a crimson jacket. He's trying to establish his own thing. It's on the front of his mind.
He should start smoking like a pipe.
He needs something more. No one's noticing the crimson jacket the way that I am.
This is good. He tried to dye the hair because he's dabbling in the vanities. You guys are right. He needs something. How about a monocle?
Oh, yeah, or a vest.
But like the vest has been done. No, it's been done.
Vest. What's been done?
The vest has been done.
Tressel did the vest.
Yeah, Tressel did the vest.
He needs something that stands out because people wear jackets.
The cane.
Spurrier did the visor. What can we do?
He can wear spurs on his boots.
Oh, a midlife transformation.
Or just cowboy boots.
Yeah, cowboy boots. Yes, cowboy
boots, but with spurs is better.
Spurs.
Yeah. Or just sit on a horse on the sideline.
He should do that. He should test the boundaries that way.
Alabama would absolutely let him.
What do you mean? Alabama would let him do foul things to that horse that were sexual in nature. Alabama let him do anything. I mean, Alabama, Nick Saban will survive a murder right now in Alabama. Like, the police would help him cover up the body.
Why would that be a request, though, Nick Saban? I want to do things to this horse.
I'm just saying, like, the foulest, most despicable things that you can think of. Nick Saban's now allowed to do them in Alabama, whatever he wants.
Well, lucky Nick.
And have you seen the politics of Alabama lately?
Awkward transition. Time for some ads.
What is that?
You know what happened in Alabama.
Dan Le Batard.
Yanni Adebaboo.
Stugotz.
Giannis Adebabumbo.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The Miami Heat are playing much better. They are chasing the Cavs. They are 3 games behind the Cavs. They beat Toronto last night in Toronto. Kyle Lowry is hurt. Stugotz does not believe in anything Raptors. The Raptors have been a missing piece away for the last decade. They've gotten that missing piece 5 or 6 times. They are still a piece away.
Not falling for it, man.
And so Miami beats them last night, and James Johnson and Serge Ibaka, one of the 10 missing pieces the Raptors have had in their life. James Johnson squared up with Serge Ibaka, and I can tell you that in this league, there is no one, not Zach Randolph, not anyone, that you want to square up with less than James Johnson. He is undefeated as a mixed martial artist. He's got a family that makes it difficult for him to be a champion in his own house. His father, his mother, there are stories, they're legendary. Let's hear some of them from Highly Questionable.
Did you know better as a kid than to talk back to your mother or your father?
Nah, our opinion meant little to nothing. It was their way or nothing. And, you know, if you disagreed or you wanted to backtalk, it wasn't no normal swat on the butt or no take off his belt or get a switch. It was none of that. It was, let's get in the ring real quick because obviously you think you're more of a man than me. Or you think you could beat me up to talk to me like this. If you want to talk to me like this, then you must think you could beat me up.
What's the worst L that one of them caught? The one that let you know that you didn't want those problems?
My older brother, the oldest one, he started talking to my dad and things like that. You know, they got a little heated, and they put on the gloves. They was about to spar or whatnot. And my brother had bowed to my dad, which is a respect thing. And that wasn't the intentions of what my dad was going in to fight him for. He's going in there to fight you because you broke respect. I don't think you're supposed to skip the bow after that. That's like dapping somebody. You know, that's like shaking someone's hand and they punch you real quick or something. That's exactly what happened. He bowed and his head happened to be down, eyes happened to be down, and it was the meanest uppercut I think I've ever witnessed. I don't even think Iron Mike had an uppercut like that. I swear.
Child abuse is funny. Very rarely, but sometimes.
Dan Le Batard.
Kids, listen to me. Every day somebody comes up to me, doctors, lawyers, college students. What do I need to do what you're doing? And the answer to that is hire your father and a troll.
Stugotz.
You literally just told a couple of kids that. I'm not joking.
Yes, I just told a couple of kids that in the hallway. Yeah. I just realized this is a moment of huge self-loathing because I'm sitting here ripping Will Smith because he's done all of this so much better than I have. He's Will Smith. Look at me, conquering AM radio. It's not exactly the future like Netflix. Will Smith is in bed with an orc and Netflix. And I'm here fighting Rob Manfred with a troll.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Chris Sims going to join us in a half hour, noon Eastern, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. What number are we on? 49?
49.
He will reveal to us his 49th best quarterback in the NFL.
How great was that moment yesterday? Mike, can you play any of that back? Do we have any of that from yesterday where Chris Sims is saying Blake Bortles is the 70th best quarterback in the sport and Tony Baselli comes on, that meathead from Jacksonville, paid infomercial spokesman to defend Blake Bortles? And they just went at it, man. They were savages.
It was a great moment. Sims held his own, man. I got to be honest.
I loved it. Yes. I want to do that for the rest of the time. Yeah. I want to just cause these weird beefs. I want to fill the blogosphere with Tony Baselli rips Chris Sims, calls him an idiot, says the most noble thing he's ever done is almost bleed out on the field.
We should do that as part of whatever the next stage of what it is that we're doing. It's just you and I kind of plot in the corner. Hey, let's get that guy and that guy in a fight.
Instigators. Yes.
I like that idea.
Yes, so do I.
It's right in my wheelhouse. Here's your SportsCenter update. A university panel has recommended the expulsion of Minnesota basketball player Reggie Lynch after he was found responsible for a third sexual misconduct. LiAngelo Ball scored 19 points. LaMelo Ball finished with 10 in their professional debuts. And finally, representatives for Radiohead have refuted Lana Del Rey's claim that she is being sued by the band for copyright infringement, but they do acknowledge discussions with Del Rey's representatives over the clear similarities between her song Get Free and Radiohead's Creep. To set the record straight, no lawsuit has been issued, and Radiohead have not said they will only accept 100% of the publishing of Get Free. Representatives for Radiohead said in a statement issued yesterday. Seems like they're willing to play ball. For all the latest headlines and information.
What kind of contribution was that? It needed to be said.
It was an update.
It needed to be said.
It was an update to a previous end, finally, where they were not willing to play ball, and now it appears that Radiohead is willing to play ball. Needed to be said.
You're a real business insider.
For all the latest headlines and information.
What kind of analysis is that? Sounds like Radiohead wants to play ball. Is it because you have to have an opinion about everything?
Yes. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
All right, well, let's see if you've got an opinion on this. This is from NBC10.com, and this is one of those headlines. Roy loves putting these in front of me with no context whatsoever.
Right.
Roy's got a delightfully dark sense of humor, and so Roy just places in front of me something that will be a headline that I will certainly want to read more of whatever it is that the headline has given me a taste of. So, prosecutors, 68-year-old New Jersey doctor hired man to kill wife after she planned to expose his drug operation with pagan motorcycle gang.
Yeah, I'm hooked in.
Yeah, right? That's like Breaking Bad.
I'm not going to read it. I'll trust that you'll read it and tell us the story.
I could do a 10-part Netflix series on this particular story right here. I can make the new Breaking Bad with just this as the starting point.
That is a fantastic headline.
Pagan motorcycle gang. How do you get to a point? I've told you this story before. I was at Michael Irvin's mother's house when the Miami Herald landed on the lawn, and the headline was police officer arrested for trying to put a hit on Michael Irvin after sexual orgy or whatever.
Right.
I think the headline was written better than that, but you understand.
Did you have to say that with your hands?
Well, I was uncomfortable.
Swirling?
It wasn't an orgy, whatever. A police officer. How do you get to the point where you are willing to hire a hitman, where you're willing to make a phone call? Have you considered this for a second? Where you're considered to have a conversation, a meeting. You have considered the idea of.
Are you asking me if I've ever considered calling a hitman?
Well, wait a minute. I'm fascinated by the idea. Movies have been made about this, about the desperation that you have arrived at when your solution to a problem is what Ray Carruth did, or what Tanya Harding did, where your solution is to harm someone else.
I'm just so confused at the process. How does one find a hitman?
Correct.
Right, yeah.
That's the starting point. This is the conversational path I'd like to go down. We live in Miami. We are surrounded by all sorts of malfeasance. I don't know how I would go about hiring somebody who I would want to harm someone else.
I mean, certainly Craigslist has its stigma, but if there's a more specific way, I'm prepared to be totally blown away and mortified by how many people know.
Well, Guillermo, put it on the poll.
I think it's easier than you think. I think you just Google a hitman and you're good.
All right, Guillermo, put it on the poll, please.
I'm doing it right now.
At Le Batard Show. You continue to look like a very sick Scott Van Pelt. What are you squeezing into what used to be your teeth? What is that? Is that Go-Gurt again you're eating? Go-Gurt?
It's Go-Gurt.
All right. Put it on the poll. What do you think, Stugotz? Put it on the poll. Do you know how to go get a hitman? Because I don't know. How the hell do you know how to get a hitman? You think Stugotz is actually Googling here how to get a hitman?
And I'm uncomfortable. I'm doing it on a company computer and network, and what came back is contract killing. And listen, I'm not looking to kill anyone. I'm just trying to get some information for the show. I have answers on how to hire a hitman.
All right, let's go. Let's hear this. Now, the Anarchist Cookbook details very specifically how to build an atomic bomb. There are instructions on the internet. And go see that documentary if you haven't, by the way, about the
and everything's on the internet.
An atomic bomb or just a regular bomb?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not an atomic bomb. A bomb. I'm sorry.
That's a fine. Yeah.
Fine.
That's a fine. Anarchist Cookbook, how to build a bomb. An atomic bomb is a totally different thing. My fault.
I feel like North Korea would have gotten their hands on this book.
That's correct.
A while ago.
Correct. It's more like a car bomb, a pipe bomb, a bomb of any kind. How you could cause a riot. But go see that.
Certainly not any kind. We've just detailed one kind that you won't find.
Not atomic, correct.
It looks like to hire a hitman, it's $30,000 minimum for a hit. And that also includes expenses. And the expenses could be anywhere $500 to $5,000.
Well, see, now this is a question I would have. Now, see, once we go down this labyrinth, first of all, you're just checking some website.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Wait a minute. Expenses? There's going to be a tax form attached to this, really?
This is written
expenses. Somebody's going to request a per diem on being a hitman. I spent $42 today at a Burger King, and I got some sushi at Walgreens.
You know what, Dan? Sometimes, and you should keep your receipts, but sometimes if you're a hitman, you're just sitting around waiting. It's a waiting game. You're waiting for the person to come out. You're waiting for the right time for the hit. You know what I'm saying? It's a waiting game. You have to buy yourself some coffee and lunch.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does a hitman bill you for expenses?
Now, this is written by Rex Farrell, who I guess is like a leading authority on hitmen.
Let's get him on the show. Allison, I'd like to get him on the show, please. Let's talk to him. Or somebody who can answer some of my questions.
Well, I want the premier authority.
Okay, but wait a minute. That was just Andrew Luck.
Oh, if I'm going to kill a guy, I want the premier authority. So I would never kill Jack Doyle.
Why did Andrew Luck make an appearance? I heard Andrew Luck in there.
They all live inside me.
I mean, this guy wrote a book on Hitman.
Aren't you
could
curious?
say he wrote the book on Hitman.
Aren't you curious about? I don't think I could find getting a hitman.
He did write the book.
He wrote the book.
Yeah, Rex Farrell. Hitman, a technical manual for independent contractors.
All right, well, get this guy on the phone. I want to find out about this. This can't be a curiosity that only I'm interested in. Like, how?
Is he still with us? Because this book was published in 1983.
Oh, we should check.
There's got to be all sorts of new tricks of the trade.
There hasn't been a replacement to come in and be heir to the throne on the Book of Hitman.
You got to think the iPhone's changed everything.
Right.
You can't just... In 1983, you couldn't even Google how to find a hitman.
So wait a minute. Is Stugotz's hitman information dated? It was $30,000 in 1983? Is that dated?
Well, we need to find out if this guy's still alive.
You're not even accounting for inflation.
Guillermo, put it on the poll.
Minimum $30,000. Depends on the job.
Hold on. Guillermo, put it on the poll.
Felt so good saying that.
Hold on. Stugotz, this is a good poll question. Okay. Is hitman a booming business in 2018? Like, is it a career choice? Put this on the poll. Is hitman a booming business in 2018? The guy who wrote the book on hitmen is on with us next if we can find him and he's not dead.
Don Le Batard.
Mike, for some reason, I saw you in the room there working on what I thought was your Andrew Luck. I wasn't sure. I walk into the room, and of course, what they're talking about is who in sports would you call to rescue your life if you were in a threatening situation and feel like you were going to actually be rescued. And so he's working on his Andrew Luck. So let's go ahead and play it out.
Stugotz.
Well, it's not something I want to do, but absolutely it'll save your life. I'll rappel down this cave. I'll neutralize the threat. We'll secure the perimeter. Get you back to your beautiful wife. Happy wife, happy life. Jack Doyle.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz, we have stumbled upon a really dark netherworld in the internet here. Stugotz, wait until you hear what's happening now. We have just arrived at an underbelly that we accidentally stumbled into. Yeah, I mean, this is an actual Hitman book. Yeah. And so, of course, you can't just get the author on. The author's going to have to write under a pseudonym. He's not going to be someone you could just get on. And evidently, this is a book that hitmen use that This is a book that actually teaches you. It's the equivalent of the Anarchist Cookbook.
So there is no Rex Feral, is what we're trying to say.
Well, there's a Rex Feral, but his real name's not Rex Feral.
Her real name.
Rex Feral, right. His or her name, that's correct. Thank you for that correction.
Yeah, research has led us to believe that this was originally written by some housewife in the 1980s.
So give us the information on Rex Feral's writing career. The pseudonym Rex Feral's writing career has produced 2 books in 1983.
2 books. Hitman, obviously, and you can purchase that on Amazon for like $60. And there's one other book when you click Rex Feral. How to Rip Off a Drug Dealer. Now, if you want to get this paperback, it's going to cost you just short of $3,000.
Is that right?
Wow. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I mean, he's got the info, man.
Wait a minute. Is that the most expensive book on the internet? $2,900 for a book on how to rip off a drug dealer?
There's only one used copy of it on Amazon.
And you're telling me that's a real cost? Wait a minute. That can't be a legitimate cost of a book. That has to be one crazy eBay bid or something. No?
There's only one book available on Amazon. It is a used copy, and the person has listed that for $3,000.
How to Rip Off a Drug Dealer.
Yeah.
But it pays for itself if it's valuable information.
No, I get it. I get why it would be an interesting book. Also seems kind of dangerous.
Well, it's one of a kind. I would jack the price up, to be honest, because if you really want to rip off a drug dealer, you'd be willing to pay anything to do it. Like, if you're in that kind of spot where you got to rip off a drug dealer, you'll pay $5-10 grand.
Yeah. Have you considered the idea, though, that once you've purchased this book for $3,000, the joke's on you, they just taught you how to rip off a drug dealer. The only one who would buy that book is a drug dealer. They just gave you $3,000 for a book. They just ripped you off.
You know that Amazon suggests Amazon's.
It sounds like a scam business you could run. Just send people a piece of paper. Yeah. Here's your book on how to rip off a drug dealer. I just ripped you off for $3,000.
You open it, it's just a mirror.
That's right. That's correct. They say they don't even send you a book in the mail. They just send you a mirror.
I am on this.
You know how Amazon recommends other authors you might like if you searched for this author? Yeah. So I'm doing that, and I'm clicking around, and I see Bradley J. Steiner, and one of his books is called The Death Dealer's Manual. That sounds interesting. There's also The Poor Man's James Bond. How you can make all the gadgets that James Bond had on a budget. And also Below the Belt, Unarmed Combat for Women, and No Second Chance, Disarming the Armed Assailant.
Mike, is it possible as part of our community effort that whatever the books are that we buy some of these books and send them to listeners just as prizes? Like as part of our budget, can we sort of what is the one? How to disarm someone below the belt?
John Minery has written a book called Kill Without Joy, the complete How to Kill book.
Well, not that one. We wouldn't send that one to anybody. I was just thinking about how to disarm below the belt would be less edgy.
So you want to buy these up and then give them away as prizes?
As gifts, yes, weird gifts that our show gives.
Here's another book, Pick Guns.
Hold on a second. Are we going to have on, within the next hour and 10 minutes, somebody who can either talk about this book or answer some questions for me about how one goes about hiring a hitman and whether a hitman charges expenses, whether a hitman gives you like a per diem cost of what it's going to cost for him to go to the deli every day?
Chris Sims.
What about Chris Sims?
That's our expert.
That's our guy. Yeah. You know they've looked into it on Nance.
What a great scandal that would be. If the Sims family had looked into a hitman on Jim Nance because he ran off with his new young love, Tony Romo, whose enthusiasm for the game is infectious. It really is. He's a giggling school child, just delighted by football, being able to watch it up there.
I don't care if what he is saying doesn't make sense, because at times he says stuff that makes no sense. His enthusiasm for the game.
Yes.
It makes me feel like he's enjoying it as much as I am.
Yes. Well, more so. Yeah. Tony Romo is giving off
getting paid.
That he understands it so well that he is excited. No, but he is what Tony Romo is, and this is always special when you can get it in broadcasting, is he himself was something of an artist who is now moved by art. So he's on television, and he understands this all a little better than we do.
Yes.
He understands how hard it is to be a quarterback a lot better than all of us do.
Correct.
And so when he watches someone else do it well, he's like a 6-year-old.
Yes.
He's like a 6-year-old describing, like, can you believe what Aaron Rodgers just did there?
He doesn't even say it. Sometimes he'll just make sounds. He'll be,
Right. And it makes us love him more than we love Nance. Yes. This is what's happening. And it makes Nance crazy. Because it makes America love Romo more than Nance. Nance is just getting in Romo's way. Nance is a cardboard cutout of a starched broadcaster for a bygone time, and Romo is a 6-year-old pooping in the playpen.
We had a caller on our tip line update us on the New Jersey Hitman story and say that that they go for $20,000 in New Jersey, so $20,000.
All right,
we've set up a tip
let's set up a tip line. I want more information about how, if this show wanted to hire a hitman, how we would do it. Because I'm confused by these stories of people reaching out to hitmen.
Who'd we take out, though? Like, who we hire?
No, let's not think about that for a second.
All we have to do is book him on the show.
All right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, we kill him. How many have we killed so far?
There's Lemmy.
Adam West.
Bill Paxton.
Alan Thicke.
Oh, wow.
Alan Thicke. What happened? You were going to find me?
Yep.